Welcome to season 3 of the Iceman Kicking Podcast. My name is Brett Arkelian. Kick your feet up, relax, and enjoy this episode of the Iceman Kicking Podcast.
I think what made him so successful was everyone in the organization had the kid's back. I think the kid knew that everyone believed in him.
Welcome, specialists, coaches, dads of kickers, moms of punters, relatives of long snappers, and dogs that shake kickoffs to the Iceman Kicking Podcast. It's the show with cold questions and even cooler guests. And I'm your host, as always, Brett Arkelian. I'm joined today by a dear friend of mine, someone up and coming in the special teams and coaching world. And he's going to be super great and super successful and already has accomplished a ton. Arkansas State special teams assistant Kody Schexnayder. A little bit about Kody. Their first year at Arkansas State, they saw 3 players earn all Sun Belt honors, including first-team selections and All-American selections for returner Alan Lamar, punter Ryan Hansen, and kicker Blake Grupe. They had a ton of success on teams, were among the top 20 in net punting, kickoff return defense, and kickoff returns. Kody also, during his playing career, earned SEC Honor Roll, Bulldog Honor Roll, Dean's List, Mississippi State University Community Service Award, and SEC All Community Service Team Awards. He also served on the Student Athlete Advisory Committee and the SEC Student Athlete Advisory Committee. Holy crap. Kody Schexnayder, welcome to the show.
Right, I appreciate you having me on, man. I'm looking forward to it. Been able to get to know you through the past, and it's been a great I guess journey so far. We've kind of done this thing together and raising through the special teams ranks, I guess as you could say. And you always want to surround yourself around good people, and glad to have you as a friend.
Man, I am fired up. I do appreciate the kind words. You mind if I tell the origin story where I met you and how it all
Absolutely.
started? Yeah, Absolutely. This was cool, man, because so I was coaching high school. I don't know if you really know. I was coaching high school football in the Nashville area. And I went to Mississippi State. I knew Alan Tucker through Paul Blackwell, and hit up Tuck and was like, "Hey, Tuck, you mind if I come check out a special teams, meeting in spring ball?" He's like, "Yeah, come on up." So this is 2018, I believe, or maybe 2019. And I walk into the room, and the Bulldog specialist sitting in a Godfather-like table, man. It was like darkly lit. It was very mafia-ish. Alan Tucker sitting at the top. I had Coach Adam Shire, who had that, Jersey Mafia vibe going a little bit. And Kody sits down next to me. I didn't even think Tuck was going to introduce me. I was a no-name, high school coach. And he's like, "Get up and introduce yourself, man." He's got the Iceman Kicking Podcast. And Kody and all those guys are probably like, "Who the hell, who's that? Like, who cares about that?" Little did he know he'd become a guest. Kody become a guest on the show. And yeah, just watching film with you guys and watching practice. And, Kody struck up a conversation with me, and man, we're instantly buddies, and you're really easy to talk to. And I could tell that you had great people skills and that you'd be a great coach because you could connect so well. So that was pretty cool.
I actually do remember that. To this day, we were in the staff room. You bring back some names, Alan Tucker and Adam Shire, man. Those two guys are my mentors, and I look up to those guys, and I tried to soak up everything I could, especially the 1 year I was around Adam Shire, and then the 2 years I was around Alan Tucker, man. I tried to soak up as much knowledge as possible, and both those guys are doing a heck of a job. Alan Tucker's now a special teams coordinator at Akron, and Adam Shire is a special teams coordinator at Temple. And it's funny, man, I talk to those guys all the time. I remember when I first got into coaching, I would probably call both of them more than I should, and they'd still pick up the phone and they'd still answer. I was never going to voicemail or anything. So I appreciate those guys. They're, Adam's family, Coach Shire's family with his daughter just signing to Miami. I mean, hey, props to him. I mean, thank God they take after Miss Erica. Because from what I know, I don't know if Shire was the athlete or not. I still love the coach.
He said he was a dude running down and kickoff. He said he was a team's guy, man. So no, you're 100% right though. Those guys are super real and super there for you. And what I loved about you, and even listening to other podcasts and stuff you've done, is your energy, man. You bring the juice, you got it. And I think that's something great special teams coaches and coordinators have. So real quick, I want to start with the heavy hitters section. All right, we start with the hitters. Everyone wonders what it's like to play at the highest level. And not only did you do that, you did that for a 5-year career.
4 years, yeah.
4 years at Mississippi State. Tell me what it's like. Tell me what you loved about playing in the SEC, and tell me what was frustrating about it.
I think there's a bunch of things that you could take away from it. I think the one thing that I took away from playing in the SEC is, just the mentorship. And, I knew I wanted to get into coaching. And the one good thing that took place was there's always change in the building, and you got to meet new people, and, you get to go play in front of these, in front of, 100,000 people or, 60,000 people every weekend. But the way I look at it, it doesn't matter where you play. I truly believe that, because it's a matter of what you make out of it. And I think if I could have went anywhere in the country, and I would have tried to make the impact that I had at Mississippi State. And I think when you put your heart and soul into the university or wherever your feet is at, if they say it's cliche, but be where your feet's at. I think when that happens, you take so much out of it, and every single aspect, not just the football aspect of it, but you take it into the community. You take it in as a student athlete. You take it in, just in as a whole, as I would say. So there wasn't any bad. There wasn't anything that stuck out. Right. I just tried to be me every single day.
Yeah, you did, and it shows with all the accomplishments you had in leadership in the community. They really did gravitate towards you. That was awesome. There was nothing that was annoying. I mean, everything was great in the SEC.
Other than some student sections, but you make fun of that. So you don't let that get to you, and you start heckling them back, or you really don't pay any mind, and they get a little upset. But other than that, man, there was nothing that annoyed me, man. I enjoyed my time there. I loved it. I embraced every second of it. And I think if I'd have done the same thing, if I was at Arkansas State or if I was at Mississippi State, the level of the competition doesn't matter. Like I said, there's good football everywhere, and I was just blessed to have the opportunity.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's funny you do say that about student sections. Me being a Division II guy and then getting to play at the FCS level. One of the big teams we played was those damn Rebs. I know we don't like to talk about them much, but we went to the Grove. We played those guys, and that part was really fun for me. I know you listed as annoying, but like being a D2 guy, for example, we played Cincinnati our first game, and you run on the field and people are like booing you, and they actually care. You're used to that, but like, oh, this is great. Someone finally cares that I'm running on the field. Or when we played Ole Miss, these guys, they'd be all drunk and having a good time. They're like, hey, strawberry shortcake, man.
Yeah.
How tall are you? Just agitating you. And you're like, this is hilarious. I love it. We're giggling. Right. All the specialists are laughing on the sidelines. So that was fun.
Yeah. I'll tell you one story that sticks out, where it was my freshman year. We were playing in Gillette Stadium against UMass. And, they didn't have many fans in the stands. I mean, you were sitting in a 70, 60,000 seat stadium, and it's quiet as heck. And those people trying to pronounce my last name was a lot of fun. They hit you up on Twitter after, and they're in your DMs and like, hey, come out to the bar with us, come hang out with us after. I'm like, man, I got to go home. Like, I'd love to, but I got to go home.
That's awesome to have a connection like that. So that's cool, man. Okay, so let's dive into it a little bit. Your career, we talked about it kind of briefly, but why did you choose Mississippi State? I know you're from the Louisiana area and played at a very successful high school there. What made you choose going there and becoming a Bulldog?
No, I think my mentor, one of my mentors, I should say, Chris Boniol, he was recruiting me at another school, and I talked to him a lot as well, and had the opportunity to just go play for him. I wanted to make sure I was around the right people and around good people. If that made sense. I never wanted to be somewhere where if football would end tomorrow, I wouldn't want to still go to school there. But ultimately, I wanted to be around the right people. If that made sense. I want to be around good people. I know I say that a lot, but I think that's what makes your college experience. I wanted to be with someone, and I wanted to go play for someone that, knew the kicking game, that could help me perform to my best ability. And that was something I took in consideration a lot, just because he's done it. He did it at a high level. He's recently with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He kicked for the Cowboys, and he played a huge role in my decision going there.
Yeah. And you know what, specialists, if you're listening, that's a great point. You could go to these big schools, and I don't want to call any out, but a lot of Power Fives, especially on the West Coast, they don't have a special teams assistant. They barely have a special teams coordinator who does maybe tight ends or linebackers. You're not going to progress. You're not going to get better unless you have someone physically coaching in there. And not even, I like to say, and you probably agree with this, Kody, we're not over analyzing your every move and all your techniques and trying to change you. We're like caddies, right? When it comes to golf, we're just there to provide another set of eyes, see what you want to work on, and then roll with that. A little bit quick story about Chris Boniol. Man, growing up, I had the Chris Boniol Ultimate Kicking DVD. I don't know if you've ever heard about this, but I was probably in 5th grade, maybe 6th grade. I was just getting into kicking. And this old video, like 04, you know what I mean? He's at LSU's practice indoor. I don't know if you've seen it. And just like I watched that, like it was the Bible, like it was the Kicker's Bible, which you can find on Amazon. But no, I watched that over and over again. And I was like, oh, it was really good fundamentals. I still remember him kicking in like these early 2000s turf shoes, and just like the most throwback. It was a great video, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. So just like you said, the fact that you got to learn from someone who had that much experience, put out DVDs, man, he really knew what he was talking about. That was good stuff.
That guy is 100% one of the best human beings I've ever met in my life. He's so impactful. He's so down to earth, but he gets straight to the point. He's as dry sometimes as they come. But he is one of the most people, one of the few people I lean on in this business. If there's anything that, from charting to, to see something I don't see, me and his son still have a really good relationship, and I talk to G all the time, and but I can't say anything more about Chris Boniol, man. I love that guy. I love him.
That's awesome. That connection's awesome. Tell me a little bit, what was his big fundamental that he really stressed when it came to field goals, Kody, or maybe even each, specialty? Was there one thing that you always heard? Was it the plant foot? Was it contact? Like, what did he hammer? What did he like to say?
I'd say one thing that he always stressed was it was going to be quality over quantity. He always wanted to make sure that every ball counted, right? Your warm-up ball, it's got to count. It's got to count. You can't just go out there and, oh, it's a warm-up kick, I'm not going to take it easy. No, we gotta make it sure it's a real kick. And one of the things, he would preach to us all the time was, once we hit our limit, you're done. I don't care if it was good ball, bad ball, like it's done. Like, put the ball up. And I tell my guys this all the time at Arkansas State. I tell them, I'm like, hey, I don't even want to see you dribble it. Don't even dribble the ball. Pick the ball up, go put it in the bag. Don't let the ball touch your foot. And that was one thing he harped on all the time, was just like, once you hit your rep max, you're done. Just put the ball up. And one thing he stressed a lot too was, whenever you were not doing well that day, because everyone's not going to have their day. I mean, we're everyone's human. You're not going to succeed every single day. As much as we want to, you're going to have a bad day. And he would always say, when you have a bad day, put the ball up. Come back tomorrow. The ball's going to be there. So that was one of the biggest things I took from him.
Yeah, I love that. And that is, over kicking, right, is like the number one biggest thing.
Never want to do it.
Specialist. Oh, killer, dude. Killer. So, hey, let me hit on that. You talked a little bit about the recruiting process. All right, now flip side, you're a coach now. I'm sure you have a lot of control or responsibility when it comes to recruiting specialists. When we're looking at the portal, right, which has totally changed the game, different from when we were there because it's so wide open now, or you're looking at 23s or 24s, when you're looking at on and off the field aspects, how do you narrow down your recruiting list? What changes things with the portal in 23s, 24s?
Yeah, I think it just so happens to be if you need a guy, depending on what your situation is. I think at Arkansas State, I think we got one of the best scenarios in the country. Our head coach and Butch Jones loves special teams, and to be with a guy, I tell everyone that, and when you listen to this is 100% the truth. Butch Jones loves special teams. He loves kickers and punters and snappers. And if you come in, you compete, you win the job, you will be put on scholarship. It's plain and simple. It's plain and simple. I think we had the most specialists on scholarship this year in the country.
How many did you guys have on scholarship?
We had 5 of our 9 were on scholarship.
Whoa, that's wild.
So, I think it just so happens whatever your need is, and depending on with the portal, I mean, if a guy's productive and that all goes in consideration too. Because sometimes in the recruiting process, I know, especially like if you don't get to see a guy live, is he kicking off a tee? What's the wind like? In the video, you could see the way the ball comes off his foot, the way the ball flies. If it's got a slow rotation, the ball's still going to elevate as it's going up. So that's all kind of things you take in consideration. But to go back to your question about the portal or recruiting a high school kid, I think it just matters on what you need at the time.
There's no question. So say Arkansas State needs a 24 kicker, and I know you guys have a stud and you've helped cultivate that. What about when you're talking to them in person? Like, what qualities are you looking for? Or, what do you, is it, I don't know, what qualities matter to you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is character, especially the way you handle yourself in adversity, because you're gonna face it one way or another. You're gonna face adversity. I think I want a good character. I want guys that's gonna do well in the classroom. I want guys that I don't have to worry about when I walk into a Thursday meeting and know that they got a D or an F on their task sheet. I think that's the type of guys you look for. I think the biggest thing I look for though is the way you handle adversity. Can I put you through? Can you get put through the ringer and still come out alive, as they say. And I think that's the biggest thing of being a kicker, because it's always about the next mentality. It's always about the next kick, and that's the biggest thing. Is how can guys handle adversity? I said it before. How can guys handle adversity?
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. It's interesting. Listen to like Shane Graham, who was at Florida, and he would try to put his guys in tough situations, and he'd give them a situation, like, hey, time's running down. You've already missed 2 field goals. Like, how are you responding? What are you doing on the sidelines? Like, what have you been through? What have you gone through? Type stuff.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. All right. So when you're looking at, okay, so you found your guy, and you can draw this from previous experiences, Kody, and now he's stepping onto your college campus. What are you looking for from him, both mentally and physically? What do you think, matters? How do you want him to act?
Yeah, I want him to be sitting in the front row of the classroom. I want him to show up early. I always try and say 15 minutes early to everything possible. I want them to be out in the community and show off who they are, because you're building a brand. That's what I tell my guys. You're building a brand, and that's your name. And then, too, I just want them to be themselves. When they step on campus, like, you don't have to change. I know who you are. I've done the research, and we've done the research as a program and as a coaching staff. Just be yourself. You don't have to be anybody else you aren't. And I think when guys come in, that's what we kind of do, is just sit them down, let them come in and have the opportunity. If they want to come and speak to us whenever we want. I always tell the guys, my door's wide open, and those guys they can come in my office whenever they want and talk and have the opportunity to watch film, or anything like that. So, that's something that, those guys, especially freshmen, when they first get to campus, it's eye-opening. And that's one of the things I'm like, if you try and be someone you're not, that's when you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. And then so seeing kind of like, for example, Dominic this year really killed it, right? I mean, freshman All-American, and he had a lot of success. Was that part of it, or what made him so successful this year, maybe in adverse situations?
Yeah, I think what made him so successful was the one thing I will speak about is our guys in the room. All three guys that we had that went in the fall camp, it was a legit battle. And we told every single kicker that whenever fall camp came around, that they were going to get a legit shot. And I credit Coach Jones on this because, like I said, he loves special teams. We had 50 field goals, and each kicker got 50 field goals from the same spot, and that's including extra points. But each of them had, and each guy, all three guys were so supportive of each other. I mean, I'll tell you this, like those guys did so well that it came down to, it was like the last 4 practices of before the first game that we named the starting kicker. And it was like, these guys competed. They and just the camaraderie in the room. And it's just not the kickers, it's the snappers, it's the punters as well. That they want to see everyone in the room succeed, and I'll talk about in adverse situations, I can't talk enough about Coach Jones, man. He believed so much in that kid and us as a program. He knew that the head coach had his back, and everyone else in the coaching staff had his back, and everyone in the organization had the kid's back. Where he knew when he went out there that it was no problem. I'll tell you this, we're playing. It's game 11. He's perfect. I think he's like 17 for 17. He comes out. We go to Texas State, and he misses a 52-yard field goal short, and it was his first miss of the year. And he came back to the sidelines, and our special teams coordinator goes, "Hey, go talk to him. Everything's going to be fine." And the next drive, we come out and we hit a 56-yard field goal the very next drive. And I say this again, I go back to Coach Jones putting the faith in the freshman kicker that just missed a 52-yard field goal for the first time in his career. His first ever miss in college football. And then the next drive would come out and attempt a 56-yarder. So, I think the kid knew that, everyone believed in him. And I would tell him all the time, man, look, I believe in you. I tell the guys all the time, I'm proud of you no matter what. You can go out there and be 0 for 4. I'm still going to be proud of you, and I'm still going to love you. It ain't going to change. It ain't going to change. And I think that's what happens, man. When you put your arm around those guys, and it's just not from the special teams quality control or special teams coordinator, but when you get the love from the head coach as well, good things happen.
That is legendary, dude. To come out and miss 52 and then get sent out for 56. What was his mentality like when you told him, "Hey, everything's going to be fine"? What do you say?
He said, "I'm ready for the next kick. Let's roll." I'm ready for the next kick. Let's roll.
Yep.
Now I'll tell you this one. I love the kid to death. We were sitting there at Texas State, and we're going down for a game-winning field goal, and I think we're at like the plus 45. No, we're at the minus 45. And Jake Schoonover, our coordinator, looks at him and goes, "What's the distance here you think you got?" He goes, "Give me to the plus 45. He goes, "Come on, Dom, be realistic here."
You're like, "Come on."
But I'll tell you this, man. I tell you this. The kid was laughing. He was laughing about it. He was loose, and I think that's why he was able to perform so well, man. He didn't put himself in high stress. He was never stressed. It was just him. He was being Dominic Zvada, and I think that goes along with everyone else in the building, and in our room. They're just themselves.
Yeah, I think that is important. And you even see with coaches, and that's the advice I've heard so much about building a relationship with these players and getting them to buy in. We had your boy Coach Shire on here earlier, and just saying to connect with kids, just be yourself, just be yourself. It's like I've seen even corny coaches, right, have success at the Power 5 level just because they're being themselves, and everyone was just they understood and they like that. They appreciate that. So real quick, so now we're talking about specialists in a rut. We've seen Brett Maher, right, and the 4 PATs. That was rough. Say situationally, you got a punter who, he has his ability. Maybe he was all conference last year. Okay, but now he's in practice. He's in a game, and he can't hit a turnover ball to save his life. I mean, the ball, Cody's doing this. It's doing these. It's a 32, and it rolls 10, and everyone's like, well, that's okay. But he's down on himself. How do you help those guys? What is there to say? What can you do?
I think if you can, you try and help the punter out. If you can, protectionally wise. If you know the kid can roll, and if that can get him back in a groove, maybe you roll. If the kid hits his end over end punt better, then he can't hit his spiral, but he can hit his end over end punt. Let's get him to hit his end over end punt. You talk to the kid, you pull him to the side. Hey, deep breath, don't worry about it. Let's go. And I know it's easier. It's easier said than done. I lived it, and it's not as easy as it sounds. But when a kid's in the rut like that, man, you try and tell him. You don't want to tell him what to do, if that makes sense, because then he starts thinking about it. You don't want to go to him and say, "Oh, here's your drop," or "This is what's wrong with this." Just talk to him normally, like he's you try and I want to try and get him to laugh, try and get him to do something. I talked to we were at that round table 2 years ago at the convention, and I believe it was the Kentucky guy, coordinator.
August, yep.
Yeah, he comes out and he's like, "Oh, something about a cheeseburger or something like that," after he makes a game winner. The kid goes out and makes a game winner. I think he missed the field goal before. So, I was a young, I'm still a young coach. I think that was my first year coaching, second year of coaching. So that's something I try and always take into consideration. I replay that story all the time in my head when guys are in a funk, just try and make them feel comfortable. You ain't got to tell them what to do, because trust me, the guys know what to do. And if we're trying to punt right here and the ball goes left, I'm not going to try and go up to him and be like, "I need the ball left," or "I need the ball right. I need the ball right." And it's like, yeah, the kid knows the ball needs to go right. He didn't mean to punt it left, right?
Don't you hear that from a special teams coordinator and you go, "No shit, dude. We need the ball right. Put it through the goalpost. We want to make that kick."
Yeah.
Just look at him. You're like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
That looks like.
And I'll tell you this, when our guys are struggling, man, and I'm gonna bring him up all the time, because the head coach, man. The head coach puts his arm around the kid and tells him everything's gonna be fine. Just get it going. And a lot of people, a lot of people think whatever. If you got a negative thing about Butch Jones, it's probably a wrong thing. And I probably shouldn't say this, but passion looks like aggression to the unmotivated. And that guy is very passionate of what he does. But he loves our kids. He loves everyone in the building. And he is by far one of the best people I've ever worked for.
That's awesome.
But without that guy, man, our specialists wouldn't have success.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a buy-in, especially from the head coach. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I want to rewind it, or maybe fast forward from your playing career. So you're at Austin Peay, and I remember this distinctly. And I want to talk about other struggles. For example, this year in the FCS, Weber State, who's in our conference, had 4 snaps, Kody, in one game go over the punter's head. Okay. And at that point, I'm telling our guys, hey, skip that ball back there. Do not let another ball go over their head, or we better have a quarterback punt or something. Okay. So I'm at Marshall. This is one of the first games back from COVID. You guys are playing on ESPN against Central Arkansas. Okay. And I'm fired up. I'm rooting for you, right? The Govs, used to be in the OVC. So I have some, mutual connection to that.
Some Martin.
Yep. UT Martin. That's right.
Yeah.
UT Martin. So you're the special teams assistant. I'm like, all right, let's go, Kody. Let's cook, man. And all of a sudden, and I can't remember, you can take it from here, but how many bad snaps were in that game?
I think 2 before we went to quick kick.
So tell me, walk me through the process and walk me through, right or wrong. I mean, this is your first year coaching, how you handled that situation.
Yeah. So it was, I'll never forget this until the day I die. And Jordan Frazier's our coordinator at the time, and so we walk out of the office. I think it was like Thursday, and I shared an office with Frazier, and we walk out. And Frazier gets the call from the trainer. Hey, you've been contact traced. Okay, perfect. All right, head coach calls me in, Coach Lovings. He goes, hey, you and Coach Scott's gonna do this thing together. Coach Keith Scott, he's now at UCA, and he says y'all are gonna do this thing together. I'm like, okay. We go out Friday. We're going to the walkthrough. We walk out of my office, and we get the call. All three of your long snappers got contact traced.
Why though? Why did all three of them?
Because they were roommates, or one of them was next to him in the locker room, and then one of the other ones, they're roommates. So come to find out, long story short, all three of them was down there. COVID, boom, knocked out. So I walked down there to the locker room, and I said, and this is what we're going through the walkthrough. We're about to go through this walkthrough. And I said, does anyone know how to long snap? Does anyone know how to long snap? So we get the linebacker, Cam Miller. And Cam comes in, and he's like, yeah, coach, I can long snap. Well, it was fine. I'm like, all right, we'll be able to get out of this game. So we get to, I think it was Birmingham we played in. And we get to Birmingham. We go to warm up on the field. We didn't get one single field goal in because the holder couldn't catch the ball and couldn't get the snap. Then we're going in to punt, and, after warm-ups, we play and Taylor, I believe Taylor Polk was the coordinator at the time at UCA. He's sitting there watching us, and as we go for the punt, to punt us in to go into the locker room, the snap goes over the punter's head. So I'm like, all right, here comes, we're gonna get an all out. We're gonna get an all out assault. They're gonna go two in the A. My snapper's not gonna be able to not gonna know what to do. And they're going to rush his punt. First one over his head. Second one was skipped. And then we had imported quick kick, quarterback punt before the game started. And I think the quarterback netted 38 yards that day. He was special teams player of the week in the OVC. I don't think we netted better than that all the rest of the two games.
Dude, that is so tough. That's such a tough situation. So, my two questions about that is, what do you tell that guy who's not even a snapper, right? He's a linebacker. He's a fourth-string snapper in that game. And then B, what do you do going forward in your career so that never happens again?
Yeah, well, what we did was we just kept the offense on the field. When we put quick kick, the quarterback, I think, was 7 yards or something like that, 5 yards. He would roll right and just punt it down the field. Hopefully we got a good bounce, and we ended up getting a good bounce. But I think one thing that we try and do definitely at Arkansas State is to make sure there's different guys that are getting snaps in spring ball or in our specialist period, just guys that you think that could possibly do it. Just in case, somebody goes down, with travel and everything like that, you're only able to bring so many guys, and you normally just bring two snappers, and if one of them goes down and something happens to the other one, hey, you got to have a backup plan.
Yeah.
So, and normally during our specialist period, you try and say who can long snap. All right, come over here and see if you got a shot. That's your tryout.
Yeah, take kind of a Luke Rhodes body type, right? A linebacker, tight end, and especially at the FCS level, we're in the same spot. It's we had two guys last year, and we were lucky. Our snapper got concussed, and we had two guys that played linebacker and tight end, and one did punts, one did field goals in our Sac State game, and they did an awesome job. But both of them are seniors, so now we're looking around, and we're down bad, man. So any linebackers, tight ends that can play a little defense or offense and also snap, that is huge. That's a huge thing. Okay. I love that. All right. So now talk a little bit, you guys have had so much success, and I want to know fundamentally, let's talk about punt and your net punt. You guys get out, you cover well. When we're talking about getting off, I think a lot of teams struggle with the shed part, right? They get their steps in, they lock on, but they don't shed. They don't violate shed. How do you guys coach that? do you read demeanor? How do you guys get out so fast? And then when you do make contact with guys, how do you teach that shed part?
Yeah, so I think I do want to shout out one guy, Jake Schoonover, our special teams coordinator, does a heck of a job. Everywhere he's been he had a phenomenal. He's always had phenomenal special teams everywhere. He's been in BG and in Kansas and Arkansas State this year, and he takes a lot of pride in special teams as well. And I mentioned him before, but the head coach, he takes a lot of pride in special teams. But what we try and do is, when we teach snag, we want to lock on, and we want to always be violent. We want to be violent in it, and we want to bring it down to the hip. We want to put that sword back into the hip, and we'll start with pods, and we'll get in pods, and two guys will latch on, and it's almost it's punt return versus punt, and that's one of the things that we always try to incorporate is in snag and everything we do, right? And we call these our special teams general movements, or I should say general special teams movements that we want to practice every single day, because you're going to use snag on punt. You can use snag on punt. You can use snag on kickoff. You can use snag as a linebacker. You can use snag as a corner. So when we tell these guys and we incorporate and we're going to do this drill, you're not just doing it as a special teams drill. You can use this fundamental for everything possible. And that's something that, when we teach snag, we want to be violent in everything we do. We want to strike in everything we do.
I love that. I love that when you have the little terms, right? What'd you say? Put your sword back in.
Yeah, you put the sword back in the hole. So we're gonna throw him down.
Yeah, that's good. I love that. Okay, what about snappers too? We talked about this, and we struggle with this. We've been a team. We'll send our snapper to the field, but a lot of times those guys can't cover. Do you give them a landmark? Do you tell them head up? Do you go outside? What do you tell your snappers in coverage?
I've been fortunate enough. Jack Bullard does a great job for us. He runs really well, but we just want to cut the field off. We want to make sure we want to use that sideline as our buddy, right? We want to, if we can, we want to get head up. Our landmarks are a little different. The way we cover is a little different, and I think we do a good job with it. But I think our gunners are really good. We had a couple with Eddie Smith this year, and Sammy Johnson and Trey T. All those guys. Trey Van Thomas does a heck of a job. He's done that for us the last 2 years. But our gunners and our snapper makes our punter look really good. But all three of those guys do a heck of a job covering it. But we try and tell that snapper we want to cut off the field, make the sideline our friend, right? Because if our snapper's cutting off the field, we're doing a heck of a job punting. And you thank those guys because they make your net look really good.
Like you said, yeah. I mean, the gunner play, that's everything, right? And even Coach Shire was speaking to that. He's like, how do you have a good punt return team? You got to shut down their gunners, because if you got to get it started. Give yourself a chance out there. Okay, talk a little bit about kickoff, Kody. And you guys have done well in the kickoff scheme, and a lot of that is just fundamentals. I mean, you can do stuff with all these twists and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's avoiding blocks and making the tackle. So, what are you telling those guys, either when they get backline blocks or void? Do you have some saying that you tell your guys?
Yeah, in kickoff this year, we were really successful in kickoff. I think that comes to do with our scheme, and Jake Schoonover does a heck of a job at it, man. He teaches it really well, and he's relentless on it. I think he had a number 2 return or number 2 kickoff team at Kansas, and we were like number 4 this year at Arkansas State. And he's phenomenal. The guy's phenomenal. I can't speak any more highly of him, man. And he gets those guys to believe. But I think when I try and teach my guys and tell my guys that if they don't know when to back door, front door, when in doubt, just knock them out, right? Just run right through them. When in doubt, knock them out. And that's something that I try and tell those guys. But, we try and get guys that can run. We want guys that can run. I'll tell a story about this kid. We had we have about 145-pound school start walk on our kickoff team that can absolutely fly, and he came in, he walked on, And like I said, like I just said, he was a school start kid. So it's the first day of school. He comes to me and he's like, "Hey, Coach Shex, I could do anything you ask me to do." So one of my guys that was on scout team gets hurt. I'm like, "All right, put this kid in there." He runs down there. We completely whiffed. And I'm like, "Dude, you got to be onside. Like, you can't be 5 yards offside. You got to give me a shot." I'm like, I'm getting yelled at by the freaking coordinator or whatever. I'm like, "You got to be onside." So he comes back and he comes back and he's onside. And all of a sudden, they go in and they watch film. And 2 weeks later, this kid's starting L1 for us. He made a bunch of plays for us. He was really fast, and he did a heck of a job, man. I'm so proud of his name is he's a Jonesboro kid. He's a local kid, Eric Wilson, man, and he kind of led the ship on our kickoff team this year.
That's so cool when you can find a role. I mean, Coach Hawkins here at Davis is all about find a role for each of these guys. Give them a responsibility that they can own, and that's cool with Eric.
Yeah.
Were you worried with his slight frame that, is this guy even going to be able to make a tackle? Like, you're almost like a talent scout here. You weren't worried about that?
No, not at all. Not at all. That kid, he plays like his head's cut off, and he puts his body in there. He wants to help the team every which way possible. We're going to always play the best guys, and we're going to play the best guys that give us an opportunity to win. And that kid gave us an opportunity to win. And I'll tell you this, just because he was a school start walk-on, he was on the bus every single week. And he found himself a role that he played, he started playing punt return for us at the end of it, at the end of the season. And, I'm just so freaking proud of that kid because he busts his ass every single day to earn that right. And he quite frankly, he did. I mean, the kid can run this. And our kickoff guy, a lot of credit to him, man. Without a lot of people didn't see it, or they don't see it because they don't know. But our kickoff guy made it go. And he's hanging the ball 4-0. My guy Eric Wilson's inside the 30-yard line when we're catching the ball. And we'll do a little bit different things. We kick from the middle of the field, so our scheme helps us. And but our kickoff guy, he made it go to work, and he let those guys go down there and play. And there was multiple times when, and I'll say this about our kickoff team, man, guys want to play special teams for us. They want to play special teams, and it goes back to Jake Schoonover and Butch Jones. Like, they get those guys to buy in. Like, they get them to buy in, and that's something that here at Arkansas State is so unique, and I think that's why we've had success on special teams. I truly do. Like, I truly believe that's why we had so we've been so successful is because of the head coach
and a little
because
bit
of our
about
special
that
teams
too.
coordinator.
Yeah, Kody, that's something. Coach Schoonover, what does he do? I mean, you can say, it's generally just asking those guys and getting them on. Does he like to play any little games? Is there anything that it keeps their interest in meetings? Like, what does he do that creates a buy-in?
Yeah, I think his meetings are interesting. One, I think he's straight to the point. Two, but then three, he's just so honest with those guys. Like, his office is the first one when you walk in the building, and those guys walk past his office. We had guys that couldn't be there because in meetings before class, and we didn't have to pull teeth to, hey, come in here and let's look at the game plan. Guys are asking, what's the game plan going to be this week? I think one thing that we do unique at Arkansas State, we track all our stats. Guys know that. And we got a whole board out there, and where we rank at in the Sun Belt and where we rank at in the country, and our numbers. And we have a production sheet as well. Everything's graded. And it goes back again to what I said, the head coach, man. The head coach buys in, the kids buy in. And that's something that we've done here. And when I put up the numbers each week, and if they're not up by they're up by Monday, some of the kids get in on Monday early. And they're like, "Hey, Coach Shex, what are our numbers this week?" We take pride and we take pride in that. And that's something that the kids bought in, and they play their ass off for us.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. Create that buy-in is so huge. And that's how you do it, by keeping track of that stuff. Love that. All right. So you've been a part of some really good punt return units, where do you think, and the way we call it the crash or the line of scrimmage phase, the transition phase, and then the finish phase. Yeah. Where do you think punt return is won or lost?
gunner position,
Yep.
the jammer position. I think if you don't have good jammers, you can't have a good team or a good punt return team.
Yeah.
I think that's the number one thing, and I think you got to win at the combat zone,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think you got to win at the combat zone. So we have a saying here, every second's 10 yards, right? Every second's 10 yards. So we want to try and win at the combat zone, and we want to. Our goal is to get a first down every punt return. If we know we could do that, we'll probably be somewhere within the top of the country. And that's the biggest thing, like I said. And to reiterate on that, I think if you don't have good gunner play or a good jammer play, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, and I think that's what a lot of times, if you can jam up a gunner, and if you can win at the combat zone, you're going to give yourself a shot.
Yeah. What tools do you give your corners holding up those gunners? How do you help them out?
We do a bunch of different things. Our corners coach, Jay Simpson, does really, really good with that, or does a great job with those guys. But we want to make them. We never want to give up inside release. That makes sense, right? And that's something he does, and he does his corner technique. We kind of leave that alone for him, and he does a great job with those guys.
Yeah, that's kind of the luxury that you have, because it depends if you're playing man or man off coverage. And letting them do some different variations of that stuff too.
Right.
So, okay, talk to me a little bit about kickoff return. What is the most important fundamental when we talk about kickoff return team to having a great return? Is it around the ball, or what do you think?
I think most importantly, I think the most important thing on kickoff return is your front line. You got to get the speed to power. You got to get the speed to power. We try and reiterate that every time: speed to power, speed to power, speed to power. And then you have to have a good returner. Your return is going to make it go. And I think we've done a great job here so far. We want to steal 5 when we catch the ball. We want to, as if I'm going through, if I'm a returner, if I'm going through a guy out at home plate, I want to crow hop into the ball. And that's something that we try and teach here. And if we could steal 5, steal 10 yards, let's go ahead and do it, man. But I think in the front line, you have to have speed to power. And you have to get on your block, right? It can't be a sometimes thing. It has to be an all the time thing on kickoff return. One of the things that we use all the time, and Coach Schoonover reiterates it all the time: courage and loyalty, right? That's what our kickoff return is: courage and loyalty. And what those blockers have to have loyalty to the returner, and the returner has to have courage to take it out. And we have a mentality here: you kick it to us, we're going to score. And that's something that, and it might sound like like a little cockiness, but our return team and our kickoff return team knows that you kick us the ball, we're going to house call it. So we take pride in when guys squib it to us. We take pride in when guys kick sky kicks, and again, it goes to the kids. Because the kids, they want to score. And the last 2 years, we've had actually we should have had another one this year, but the last 2 years we've had 3 kickoff returns for touchdowns. We should have had 2 this year. We had 2 last year. Should have had 2 this year. We took another one back. I think it was like 102 yards or whatever. But he got called back from a holding penalty. And then, Johnny Lang this year took one to the house as well against Monroe. So that's what we use. And, I wouldn't say it's cockiness. Like I said, I wouldn't say it's cockiness, but our guys know you kick it to us, we're going to score.
That's awesome. Well, and I wouldn't say that either.
Yeah. And I'll say this, like when we don't score, it's like a failed return. And that's how the guys look at it as: if we don't score, it's a failed return.
That's confidence, man. That's not cockiness. I think too, in this world of fair catches and everyone's doing the data analytics, only, 25% of the time it gets out past the 25, you should just fair catch it There's definitely some room for that, but I believe personally, you got the ability to change the momentum of the game. Like,
Absolutely.
yes, it's
Absolutely.
tough to do, but if you can hit that, I mean, that changes the whole landscape of the game.
Absolutely.
That's where that aggressive mentality comes out. That's how I am. I love that you guys have that mentality.
Yeah, and I just got done doing our self scout, and I think we averaged somewhere between like I think we averaged like the 27-yard line this year on kickoff return. So it was good. It was one of those things. It was like, come on, man, let's roll.
Let's be aggressive. I love that. It's too cool. I love the Steel 5 thing, dropping gems. Cody.
Yeah.
Tim Dwight was a player from the great state of Iowa. Well, or he played for Iowa. And we'll show those clips. He played for the Falcons and the Broncos. But showing those clips where, just like you said, like a crow hop for a returner, he runs up almost full speed and he hits that ball on a line. That's exactly what we're trying to get out of the returners.
Absolutely.
So good, man. All right. Well, I've had a great time with this. We're going to do, we're kind of rounding things up here, but do you mind if we do a new segment, a rapid fire segment?
Let's do it.
Brought to you by the Kicker's Bible.
Let's do it. The Kicker's Bible.
Brought to you by the Kicker's Bible, man. Have I gotten you a copy? I need to. I haven't.
I don't think I've got a copy.
Oh my God.
Amazon though. There you go. I got a couple Amazon gift cards.
There we go. Yeah, we'll get that link to you, but I'll get you a signed copy, man. All right. So talk a little bit about, we kind of hit on fundamentals. Is there any, I think what's really cool for older coaches is they have a lot of coachisms and proverbs and terms that they like to say. Are there any that you've picked up that you like to say or that ring true to you?
No, I guess some coachingism. I mean, I think I hit on it before, and Coach Jones uses it all the time. And passion looks like aggression till unmotivated. And I think another thing that kind of just sticks out is when in doubt, knock them out. And encouraging loyalty, man. I wish I could drop some good knowledge. Jake Schoonover, he spits knowledge all the time, and that man is my guy. And there's some things that probably can't be said on this podcast.
No, I do love that, man. Those are so good. Even I think personally, I need to do a better job. If guys are on their heels, you're on the kickoff team, and you're running against a kickoff return frontline guy. If they're on their heels, just like you said, when in doubt, knock them out, man. Run right through these guys, and that's how you establish the mentality when you get there. Right? We're here to control this game. Talk to me about situational football, especially on special teams. It's so important. How do you guys reinforce that, whether it's practice or meetings? How do you show that to your players?
Yeah, I think the best thing for situational football is you got to practice it. One of the things that and we do a good job on it on Fridays and in our walkthroughs. We try and run through any situation possible. If there's if there's going to be a NASCAR field goal, and that's something that I think for you to be successful or for something to happen at it, I think it's one of those things to go back on, like hands team, right? Or onside team, right? You might only get it one time in 3 years or once a game. And it was one of those things that we practiced. We got our first onside that someone kicked to us. And it was something that we've practiced for the last 2 years of being here at Arkansas State. We never had to use it. And now it's a big part of the game. It's a crucial part of the game. And we finally use it. And that's what Coach Jones told the guys in the locker room. He was like, we practice this every single week, situational football. And I truly believe the only way to teach the guys situational football is to practice it. And when things happen at practice, I think it's also important to stop practice and explain what happened here. And that's one thing that we do here. I think that Coach Jones does great when something happens out of the it's not normal in a football game. I think it's good to stop practice and explain it to the guys.
Sure, because you have so much of an advantage if you work that stuff. Yes, it might not come up much, but if you show it, and even showing videos of practice, right, or showing different clips, goes a long way. Okay, talk to me about your specialists, man. How do you help them mentally prepare for a game?
I think just mentally preparing for those guys. Just talking to those guys. If it's going to be windy, We try not to psych ourselves out, if that makes sense. You never want to go into the game. You never want to think about too much stuff, but just mentally on a Friday night, we're going to talk about, we're going to sit there. We might talk about if it's going to be windy, what we need to do prior to pregame, what we need to do, if it's a late game, if we got to get up and take a shower in the morning, don't lay around in the bed, just things like that, mentally. I never want to go out there and talk about, if it's windy, I want to hold the ball this type of way, or if it's going to be raining, we need to be careful. We watch the plant foot, because now that's in their head saying, okay, now I need to watch for my plant foot. Okay, now I need to hold the ball a certain way. Just go out there and play. Go have fun. And Chris Boniol would say this all the time when I was playing, and he would reiterate it. He'd snap the ball, like we'd get done like, training, doing fundamentals, and he'd get the ball and he says, all right, let's go play. Just go play. We're in the backyard. Just go play. And that was something that I was able to get my mind off of. And it's like, all right, I'm not practicing. I'm in the backyard punting, and I'm like, all right, I'm sitting in the backyard. I'm like, wow, I'm punting the ball 50, 60 yards right now. Why not get in the game? And it's like, come on, man, just go play.
Hey, I saw that in practice, man. The spring ball practice I was there, you were raking some 55, just dropping bombs out there. But I think there is a lot to be said for, like you said, that was one thing. I mean, I had struggles when I was playing, and I wasn't half the player you were, but I was at Division II school, and I think I was a starting kicker my first year there, and it was a really tough time. I think I went like 0 for 3 to start off the season, and I was struggling. I met with the sports psychologist, and one of her techniques was, where do you feel the most comfortable? I want you to envision that. So in my mind, I was back at the middle school that I train at in California. Remember, I was on the other side of the coast in Pennsylvania. Now I'm just imagining my dad being back there. He would be back there every time I kicked, right? He's catching the balls, and I'm just hitting off a tee, and he's back there catching, just visualizing that aspect. So I think that going out there and playing really speaks to that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Okay, you're a young coach, so I want you to visualize you're the new head coach at Arkansas State or Austin Peay or Mississippi State. Okay, what is one of the first things you're doing to build culture? And you can think about this younger generation and social media, but what are you doing? Maybe it's an event. How are you connecting with your players and showing them you care right off the bat?
I think I'm gonna have the guys over at my house. I think I think I'm gonna just try and be able to pour into those guys in any which way possible. And that's something I've learned being here the last 2 years is, making sure that not just saying that your door's open, but knowing that the head coach's door is open, that you can walk in anytime you please. I think I would try and start culture groups with our program. Splitting guys up that aren't, that from different cultures or from different backgrounds, and making guys truly sit down and get to know each other. Not just, you're in the locker room with them, or, I make those guys get out and eat. I think one of the unique things that we do here, and it was our head coach's idea, was, to have the running backs coach take out the defensive line, and build stuff like that. And it's stuff that I've learned within the last 3 years of, not just being around the specialists, but getting around the other guys,
Yeah, I love that. I think Hawkins does a lot of that here, where we'll do position unity, and maybe we'll go to his house, and then he'll ask, and the kids at first think it's corny, but we start talking about, like, what's your favorite hobbies? What do you like to do for fun? What's the hardest thing you've ever been through? And some guys will start crying, man. It'll get really emotional, but that's how you develop a better sense of self and connection with your teammates. So, but we're wrapping up here. All right. So here's my last question for you, Kody. How do you see yourself growing as a coach? And, what's your aspirations? Like, what do you want to be known for? And what do you want to become in this profession?
Yeah, I think the ultimate goal is to become a special teams coordinator. And then, if that ends, I've done that for a little while. I think at the end, when it's all said and done, when I retire, I think I want to become an athletic director at a university somewhere. But I think I want to be known as just a guy that puts his heart and soul into this, and truly loves truly loves his guys and his program. And, I want to make sure that, my reputation is, that we're going to play hard, we're going to play fast, we're going to play physical. And, that's one thing that I've learned, the past 3 years of being here at Arkansas State is you put your heart and your soul and you have a lot of passion for what you do. You're going to be successful at no matter what level. And it's just not football, but ultimately I think I want to be fast, fast, physical, aggressive.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's awesome that you have those aspirations, and it's been really fun, watching you grow and you being there for me. We'll, practice interview with each other and talk games. So I hope we can always keep that connection and keep growing, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool, brother. Well, hey, you got anything you want to plug? Anything before you're going out? Anything you got going on in your life?
No, man. I'm just enjoying life, enjoying where I'm at, man, and I love working for Coach Jones and here at Arkansas State, man. And everything I said, he doesn't get any better. I will do this. I'll shout out my guy Quan. I'm about to go upstairs. I'm doing this actually in the hotel lobby right now. I'm about to go upstairs, and Tessa and Quan are getting married today, and Andy Quan are getting married today. So I'm about to go get dressed and head to their wedding.
Congratulations, Coach Quan, man. That's exciting. I appreciate you taking the time to be on here, Kody. That has been Coach Kody Schexnayder with Arkansas State.
A word from our sponsors. This show is brought to you by The Kicker's Bible. The Kicker's Bible. Ever wondered about how many kicks you should do during practice after pulling your quad multiple times? Repeatedly snapping the ball over your punter's head? Keep getting dumped by all your girlfriends for missing kicks? Well, we can't help with all those things. But for some of those, there's The Kicker's Bible. Proven training methods and secrets used by NFL specialists, written by yours truly, Brett Arkellian, with over 20 NFL specialist accounts, including personal excerpts from record-setting and Hall of Fame specialists David Akers and Shane Graham. If you are interested in any of these fantastic tips and excerpts discussed in this episode, visit IcemanKicking.com or go to my Twitter bio, Iceman_kicking.
Shells are highly prized. And this one is occupied by a sarcastic fringe head.